Hey there guys, so with the release of Spider-Man Far From Home about a month ago, I thought it was the perfect opportunity to rewatch all the Spider-Man films and rank them all, but I do have a couple of rules. For one, Venom won't be on this list because it is really a bad film. I don't like that film at all, and it's not really a Spider-Man film. It isolates itself from the Spider-Man lore, and the Marvel films that feature Spider-Man won't be on this list. Films like Civil War, Infinity War and Endgame. This is pure Spider-Man films. If you have your own list, comment down below. I love to see it, but let's start with the worst Spider-Man film of all time. So at last place is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So I rewatched this one on Blu-ray the other day after like 5 years in cinema, and this film has not aged well. It's probably gotten worse over time. I remember when Sony released like 5 trailers before actually seeing the film, and it spoiled the hell out of it. And it was kind of obvious what this film was based on, death of the Stacy, so we knew who was going to die before seeing the film. Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker was such a dick in this film. I really wanted to like him in this film, but he was just being a major dick to Gwen Stacy, dumping her, coming back to her, dumping her, coming back to her, letting her go to London, coming with her to London. It was so annoying, and you had 3 great actors. You had Dean DeHaan, Paul Giamatti, Jamie Foxx, but we got these 3 over-the-top, cartoonish, poorly written villains ever seen in a Spider-Man film. And really, and the film was trying so hard to set up a Spider-Man universe, a Spider-Man 4, a Venom movie, a Sinister Six, and rather than being its own movie, it was so hard to be a Spider-Man fan at the time. There's this one scene I really liked in the film, this one small scene. It's one where this kid is getting bullied, but Spider-Man comes in, the bullies run away, he helps this kid up, and he walks him home. And that's what I love about Spider-Man. They captured the essence of Spider-Man in that one scene. The rest of the film, however, sucks. At number 7 is The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, I would have preferred a Spider-Man 4, but this is a solid movie. There's a few things that are really going for it. For one, I liked how it was trying to differentiate itself from the other Spider-Man films, becoming much more darker and grounded. It has one of my favourite costume designs of Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield plays a good Spider-Man, a good Peter Parker, even though I think he was too good looking to play Peter Parker, but he has adorable chemistry with Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy. But apart from that, it has so much wasted opportunity, really. I mean, nobody asks for another origin story. No matter how hard you change it, it's still the same. And as a hardcore Spider-Man fan, nobody cared about the secrecy of Spider-Man's parents. And Rhys Ifans' adaptation of Dr. Connors' Lizard and his plot to change the people of New York into lizards is kind of lame. I mean, there's enough to appreciate in this film, but out of all the Spider-Man films, this is probably the most forgettable. At number 6 is the film I'll always defend, and that's Spider-Man 3. Yes, it's not a good movie, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's riddled with plot holes, of course. Like, it's so convenient how the symbiote crash lands where Peter is, and what the symbiote does to Peter doesn't really make him a dark character. It kind of makes him awkward and cringe to watch at times. And having 3 villains in this film is a massive misfire. Harry Osborn's intentions were fine, but the whole thing about his memory loss and gaining his memory back didn't really need to be in this film. He doesn't realise his father was a terrible person. He killed people. And becoming New Goblin instead of Green Goblin 2.0 doesn't really make any sense. I mean, it would have been fine if he becomes like the Hobgoblin. And having Venom in the last 15 minutes of the film and poorly miscast is insulting to the character and the creators of the characters. But however, there's some really great gems to this film. This is the reasons why I'll always defend this film and keep going back to rewatch this. I mean, Thomas Hayden Church as the Sandman is great. The CGI around him is astonishing to watch. There's some great fight scenes. The best one is when Black Suit Spider-Man versus the Sandman underground. Is kind of cool. And the characters, the individual characters' storylines were pretty great for the most part. I liked where we got to see Mary Jane's acting career takes a dive and Sandman's intentions to steal money. I mean, if they just had 2 villains instead of 3 and have Venom in like the 4th movie, that would have been fine. At number 5 is Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, a lot of people love this film, saying it's the best Spider-Man film. To me, I'm saying to myself, did we watch the same film? Don't get me wrong, I think Homecoming is a good film, but it's not as great as my next film. My gripe with Homecoming that it played it too safe. It didn't really take any risks. And people say it feels more of a John Hughes film. To me, it feels more of a Saturday morning cartoon, and not in the best way. I love the idea of Spider-Man at its peak. He wants to be more than just a street level superhero. And that does impact him on the later films. And that's what I loved. And I think Tom Holland is great as Spider-Man Peter Parker. But the real scene stealer is Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture. Excellently played by Michael Keaton. Not only one of the best MCU films, but the best Spider-Man film ever put to film. I mean, to his mind, he's not just a bad guy. He's just a guy who's doing what's best for his family. That led to him to become this super villain, arms dealer, dealing alien tech with street gangs. And one of the best scenes of this film is when Adrian Toomes finds out Peter Parker is actually Spider-Man, and he threatens him. It's one of the best pure action scenes in the MCU. At number 4 is the most recent Spider-Man film, Spider-Man Far From Home. After seeing it the first time, it filled me with pleasure. It surprised me in so many ways. It was so much different to Homecoming in a great way. Spider-Man around Europe is so much fun to watch, and with such beautiful set locations, the chemistry between Peter Parker and MJ is adorable to watch. And Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio is so much fun. The way he manipulates Spider-Man in that illusion scene is amazing. The way that Spider-Man fights, uses his Spider-Man senses, web slings, is something else. And it has one of the best post-credit scenes in the MCU now. And number 3 is still my favourite film of 2018, and that's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I still can't believe this film topped Infinity War and Incredibles 2. There's so much greatness into this film. I mean, this is the perfect way to get into Miles Morales and his exploration, but also it's a perfect way to get into the other Spider-Man people like Noir Spider-Man, Spider-Man Ham, Spider-Gwen, Penny Parker. We got this rundown older version of Peter Parker, and it's such a great character study. This is basically an Avengers movie but with Spider-Man people instead. It has such game-changing, beautiful animation with a sick soundtrack. To call yourself a Spider-Man fan and not see the Spider-Man film because it's animated, shame on you. At number 2 is the first Spider-Man film directed by Sam Raimi. Now, just like Richard Donner's Superman made you believe a man could fly, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man made you believe a man could climb up walls. For the new generation of Spider-Man fans who probably prefer the latest films over this, and I can't blame them because this film can be cheesy and out of date, but this was such a big deal when it came out. This is basically a straightforward superhero origin story, but it has that Sam Raimi distinct horror element to it. The cast is so perfect for their roles, whether it's Kristen Dunst, Tobey Maguire, James Franco, William Dafoe, J.K. Simmons. The way they told the story of Spider-Man is just so perfect. That's why I get annoyed with the Mark Webb films, because they were nowhere as good as this. And when I think of Nickelback Hero, it just makes me think how great this film is. My favourite Spider-Man film of all time is of course Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. This is just near perfection. Sam Raimi made the best comic book film of capturing the cons of being a superhero. Becoming a full-time superhero takes a toll on Peter Parker. He struggles with rent in college. He tries to look out for his aunt and his best friend. He wants to be with the woman he loves, but he doesn't want to see her suffer. It took everything we loved about the first movie and times it by 10. Doc Ock is wonderfully played by Alfred Molina. That train sequence is phenomenal when he hasn't got his mask on because he's too busy trying to stop that train. Just shows you Spider-Man is the greatest superhero of all time. I mean, this film just delivers it on every level, and yet it hasn't been topped. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Go like, share and subscribe. Let me know what are your favourite Spider-Man films. If you can rank all of them, comment down below. I'd love to see them. Go check out my Facebook, my Twitter and my Instagram page. You guys are awesome. I got your back.